That's all right with you.
Sure.
All right. So first question I had is so where did you grow up? Oh,
Where
I'm
did I
sorry.
grow up?
Ridge Pierce. This is you want to state your name?
I'm Caden Godfrey. I work at Westfield Specialty Insurance Company.
Awesome. So Kaden, I was wondering, where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Alabama. That's where I am right now. I'm from Northeast Alabama. Grew up in a town called Gadsden.
And then so after that, I'm guessing from Gadsden, where did you go to school?
I went to Troy University from 2018, graduated in 2021, December of 21.
Bet. And then what made you interested in Troy?
In-state tuition was a big reason I went there, but also they had a pretty good business school, and so I knew I wanted to do something in the business school, but I wasn't sure what. So I kind of bounced around for a couple of years before I fell into insurance.
I got you. So you said you wanted to do something in business school. What was the reason you did decide on your major? What was kind of
Uh,
in the major?
well, like I said, I'd bounced around for a little while, and I think that some of my friends knew that I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And then one of my buddies that I was on the Ultimate Frisbee team with, he was actually my roommate at the time. He convinced me to come to this big insurance symposium, and I heard a bunch of speakers talk, and I got to speak with a bunch of employers and stuff like that. And I decided to switch over my major after I was persuaded from a couple guys. I think one of the biggest reasons was maybe like the job security and also the job availability at the time, anyways.
I got you. Awesome. And then so I'm sorry, you want to say again real quick, where do you work?
Westfield Specialty.
Okay. And could you explain what exactly you do at Westfield Specialty?
Yeah, so I'm a commercial property underwriter. So basically, when a company needs insurance, so like Troy University, when they need insurance, they send in their submission to their agent or their broker, and then their agent or their broker sends it to a company like Westfield. We look over all their property, which I work in property, so that's why I'm going to use property as an example. We get their submission of all their property. We run it through our system, decide how to price it, and decide how much we're willing to take on of their insurance. So
Mhm.
that's
You-
kind of what I do.
Okay. So you talked about the job security. Was there anything else that first like made you interested in insurance? Were there other factors that like, oh, I really enjoyed that. I want to try to study that or
I think the people I knew that were in it, they everybody always said insurance is a cult because everybody that was in insurance was trying to get other people into it, and really didn't
Mhm.
see that. But people were excited about it, and everyone that I talked to that was in it was like, "You should join. Like, it's a good opportunity." Whereas like something like accounting or something, everybody's like, "Yeah, it's accounting." So like
No.
people actually are they enjoy what they're studying. So I was like, that's kind of cool. Let's check it out.
So from the initial, what would you say like keeps you interested in insurance? Would it be some of the same reasons or would it be different factors? So you talk about kind of what's the initial part, what kind of like keeps you interested? Like I enjoy this, I want to keep doing this.
Yeah, I think it's a really good job. I think a lot of the job is relationship oriented. So part of the job is keeping up with your brokers and going out to events or just grabbing lunch with people or talking on the phone with people other than just looking at spreadsheets every day, which I mean that's a portion of the job as well, but it's not just sitting behind a desk and looking at numbers and crunching numbers all day where you're actually like talking to people, you're going out to lunch, you're going to baseball games, you're going to play golf, whatever it is. I think that's a cool aspect of the job where it's like half play, half work.
I got you. And then what is a day in the life of a typical let me see if I can get this right. Your Westfield Specialty commercial underwriter,
Yeah.
commercial property
Yeah.
underwriter.
Yeah. So we do all commercial lines. We don't do any personal lines. So yeah, so a day in the life would be I come in. I'm not gonna tell you when I come in and when I leave, but it just depends on what the season is during busy season or late season. But usually we'll talk with the team a little bit early in the morning. Then we'll get down to it, check some emails, look at what we got.
Hmm.
Uh, so we get kind of like a log of submissions in, and you kind of want to look at submissions like a month early or so,
Mhm.
and then might run it through our modeling system, which that's kind of like an AI based system that's going to give you recommended numbers for like how much we should charge for stuff. But really, it's not like our job isn't just to do whatever the system's telling us to do. It's
Mhm.
to get that recommendation and then dig deeper into it, figure out for ourselves like what we think about the deal, and then present it to the team. And then the team kind of collaborates and decides what part we want to take on it together. And
Mhm.
then from there, we would have a phone call with the broker who's sending us the submission, and we would kind of talk through the deal with them, see what's going on, see what other information they have, and then if we still like the deal, then we'll send them a quote. And then later on, if they decide that they can sell it to the insured, then we'll send them a binder, which is basically like a placeholder for the insurance policy.
Mhm.
And then later we'll issue the policy. So got all that going on, but a lot of phone calls with different people, and then a lot of, you know, running stuff through the system and talking with our team about it.
Mhm. That being said, how is it different, or is it any different than what you might have expected, like when you first entered the workforce?
Yeah, I think in college you don't really know what to expect. You know, you're
Right.
looking at everything through the lens of a textbook, and or just like word of mouth. And most of
Mhm.
the people in college are students who don't know what they're talking about either, or professors who know what they're talking about but don't do that for a living. They teach for a living. So like they might have done in the past, but it's like I knew the basics, but it's like you really don't know what you're getting yourself into until you get out there and start doing it. And I think that goes with most majors. But I don't know. I enjoy it. I didn't know if I would enjoy it, but I do enjoy it, I would say. But I don't know. It's a lot more talking on the phone than I guess I was thinking it would be, but that's fine. I
Yeah.
enjoy that aspect.
What opportunities would you say RMI insurance risk management has given you?
Yeah, tons of opportunities. I mean, the entire industry is it's relationship oriented and it's pretty small. So you get to know a lot of people, and I hear all the times like, "Hey man, we're hiring," or "Hey, do you know anybody that's hiring?" or whatever. So it's like everybody knows everybody, which is a cool, or at least this sector of the insurance, which is pretty cool. And there's, you know, knowing people comes with great opportunity for, you know, whether you can get somebody over, or if, you know, you're ever in a hard place and need somewhere to go, then, you know, somebody can help you out.
Mhm. And then from the lens of someone who's maybe still in school and trying to think about like, should I switch? Should I start studying it, even if I don't even know what I want to do with it? What would you say are like the pros to switching your major and studying it in school versus maybe doing it some other way or not doing it at all?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, studying insurance isn't the only way into, you know, working in insurance. I would say the vast majority of people did not study insurance, or the vast majority of people that work at my company and, you know, most other companies like mine did not study insurance. And insurance programs weren't very popular for until probably like 15, 20 years ago.
Mhm.
But I'd say it definitely helps. I think you get a firm foundation on like the basics, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily a need. Like you don't have to study insurance, but it's definitely a great way to secure a good internship, and it's definitely a good way to get into a good company, because most people don't get into like a great company like a nice E&S surplus lines or specialty insurance company like mine until like later on. They usually start off with like a small insurance company and then like start working their way up. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of opportunity for insurance, and I think that, you know, it's a great alternative if you're then to just be like, I'm just going to be general business or something. It's like having some kind of specialization is it's a good look, especially and like companies like mine when we're looking for, you know, people fresh out of college. Insurance degree looks really good. So
Gotcha. And then that being said, what would you say are like the cons to studying insurance, if there are cons? Because I know people that have gone the opposite route and have, they say this and say that, and it's hard to tell what are the actual cons of it.
Yeah, sure. I'd say like a con of studying insurance would be if you don't know what you enjoy doing. Like I have a few friends I graduated with that were like, "Oh, insurance sounds great," and then they got into insurance and they're like, "I don't know if it's for me." If you're like, you can study insurance and just like read about it in a textbook, but if you don't really understand the job and then you get into the job and you're like, "Oh, I don't really like doing this. I don't like talking on the phone, or I don't like, you know, making deals happen, or that kind of stuff."
Mm,
It's like, okay, then, if you want to do something else like marketing or something, then, you know, put in a couple hours and figure out what the actual job is while you're still in school.
right.
It'll help you out in the long run. But most of the people I know really enjoy their jobs, but it kind of puts you at a disadvantage when you study something, get into it, and then you're not a big fan of it. So it really just depends on your personality. Insurance isn't for everybody, and that, nothing is for everybody. So
Right. And then I've noted I'm curious, have you ever encountered negative stereotypes due to the fact that you work in insurance, whether that's by just word of mouth people talking to you or just because I feel like that's kind of like a running joke, but I wonder if it ever really is a negative stereotype, like, oh, you work in insurance, well, this must be true or that must be true.
yeah, everybody or some of my friends joke that like I'm a salesman, like I'm trying to sell you a life insurance policy or something. They always say, "Oh, of course, the insurance salesman over here." I was like, "That's not even what I do at all." But other than my wife seems to joke about insurance people being scummy, which there are a lot of scummy people in the insurance industry, but other than that, not so much. I don't know. It's not a big deal.
What has been the fun of the whatever of what you have encountered? What's been the funniest stereotype you think that you've seen or heard?
I don't know. I don't just I do get cracked on a little bit, but I mean that's pretty much the same thing. I'll be like telling my friends about something and they'll just be like, "Oh, he's trying to sell it to us or something." I was like, "I don't even work in sales," but it's like a lot of people actually no one really understands what I do until I go like spend 10 minutes trying to explain it to them, but it's okay.
What would you say is the most difficult aspect of your job?
Probably delivering bad news, and we end up doing that a lot. Just and by bad news, I just mean like bad pricing. Like we'll run an account and it's just like terrible. Like we don't want to really insure it, or we're gonna be like what we're gonna be twice as much as they're looking to pay or something. And a lot of the people that we're putting deals together with are like our friends. Like we work with them year round on several accounts. We take them out to lunch or whatever, and it's like we got to call and be like, "Hey, we can't really help you out here." It's like we can offer to take a piece of it, but it's like not what they're looking to hear. And it's just like a lot of times we're like the most expensive of any other company, and so it's like I don't know, we're just delivering bad news a good bit, or maybe not bad news, just not news that people want to hear. So there's a lot of that, and people be like, "Are you kidding? Like that's a joke, man," and stuff like that. It's like everybody's always angry when you got to tell them the opposite of what they're trying to hear.
And vice versa, what would you say is the most enjoyable aspect of what you do?
Yeah, so in property insurance, it's pretty seasonal. I'd say there's like a busy season of like 5 to 6 months, and then like with a couple heavy months sprinkled into the slow season. But during the slow season, there's like 2 or 3 months where it's just like very slow. It's just like everybody takes vacation, which is super nice, and I'm a big fan of that. Where like a lot of the other teams were pretty consistent throughout the year. I kind of like the aspect of like from March to August, it's like people are hustling and working a good bit, and then end of August, September, October is kind of like just chilling. So
Mm,
I really enjoy that. Also, just being an underwriter, I think that there's a lot more flexibility and like work life aspect or
Mm.
work life balance to it. Being a broker, it's like you hustle a lot, you work a lot more, you do get paid more, but also being an underwriter, uh you can shut off your computer and just like relax and not have to take phone calls like 8 o'clock at night and stuff like that, and when you're on PTO and stuff like that. So I think that I enjoy being an underwriter, and I think that I'm more accustomed to being an underwriter because of those things.
So what would you say to someone considering insurance, like trying to figure out, where to fit in, is it something I want to pursue? What would be your advice to someone who's considering it?
Yeah, I'd say it's great. I think that working in the insurance industry is an awesome opportunity. I think it's a lot better than a lot of other jobs that you can find yourself in, especially just like coming out of business school and not really knowing what you want to do. I think that has a lot of opportunity, has a lot of job security. It's somewhat recession proof. So you never have to worry about like, oh, is my company going to lay me off? Like I have a handful of people just in my current friend group that over the past year have been laid off. So it's like, it's
Wow.
nice knowing it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm probably okay from that aspect. So, and especially coming out of school, is like you're kind of bottom of the food chain. So people got to get cut, you know, you're probably one of the first to go. And that's not something you have to worry about.
Yeah, that's true. And then the last two questions. First of all, if you could do it all over again, would you choose insurance or would you go another route?
Yeah, I probably would, especially from Troy. I think Troy's got a great insurance program. They've been, for a small school, they have a really great insurance program. They've been ranked top 20, which is pretty impressive for a program with like, I don't know, 50 to 100 people in it, maybe.
Wow.
So I think that I probably would. Yeah,
And then that being said, would you change anything?
probably not. Honestly, I got a pretty good gig. Timing was pretty good for me, so I don't think I would.
Awesome. All right, let me go ahead and stop the recording.